Hello friends, today we will be discussing how to clear the civil services examination which will be held in 2019. We have 1 year for preparation and it is imperative that we use this coming year in the most judicious manner to optimize our chances of clearing the examination. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the examination, I'd like to introduce myself to you guys. I am Pranay Aggarwal. I am the director of IAS Gurukul. IAS Gurukul is an institute which has been established by the topmost members of Indian civil services, judiciary, and various topmost retired bureaucrats with the objective of providing quality examination preparation to civil service aspirants. As the director of IAS Gurukul, I have had the good fortune of ensuring that I have been able to mentor some very bright students and many of whom are in very good positions of authority today in the government services. I am also the convener of Indian Civil Services Association, which is another body established by topmost retired bureaucrats with the objective of considering the future of civil services in India. For example, in our deliberations last year, we had amongst us Dr. Kiran Bedi, the India's first female IPS officer, who is currently also the Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. We were also joined by Mr. Manishankar Iyer. He is a senior Congress leader and former minister of cabinet rank in the union government. He has also been an IFS officer. We were also joined by Mr. TSR Subramanian, who retired as the cabinet secretary, the topmost position an IAS officer can aspire to, as well as several other aspiring as well as recently qualified civil service aspirants. Apart from this, I am also associated with certain academic bodies like the International Sociological Society as its vice president and the Indian Social Science Council as its president. In these capacities, my job is to oversee research and academic development of these areas of these disciplines. Now, moving to the main topic of our discussion today, which is how to crack the civil services examination for 2019. I would like to begin by emphasizing that first and foremost, you must be thoroughly aware of what you are getting into. For that, we'll begin with a discussion of the examination structure and the syllabus. This examination is basically a three-tier process. The first stage is the preliminary examination, followed by a main examination, followed by a personality test. During the first stage, which is the preliminary examination, there are two papers of objective type. Objective meaning multiple choice questions are given to the candidates from which they have to mark the correct answer. Each paper is of 200 marks and there is a time duration of 2 hours to solve each paper. The first paper is general studies paper. In general studies paper, you have your elementary subjects like history, geography, polity, economics, ecology, science, and current affairs. The second paper is the Civil Services Aptitude Test, commonly known as CSAT. The CSAT paper is merely a qualifying paper, and UPSC, the examination conducting authority, has already clarified that every aspirant only requires 33% marks in the Civil Services Aptitude Test. Meaning that if, say, amongst candidate A and candidate B, one scores 80% marks in CSAT and the other scores merely 35%, neither of them has an advantage over the other. The main paper at the preliminary stage, which determines whether you go on to the next stage or not, is the general studies paper or paper 1. The cutoff for general studies paper varies from year to year. For the 2017 prelims examination, the last examination conducted, for general category students, the cutoff was 105.34 out of 200 marks. This means, and this is typically the case, typically the cutoff for the prelims examination is between 100, 110, at most 111, 12 out of 200 for general studies paper. In CSAT, you have to only secure 33%, that is 66 marks out of 200. The CSAT paper comprises of 3-4 main areas. For example, one is reading comprehension, which is basically English passages are given to you, and based on those passages there are certain questions which are to be expected to be answered. Then there is logical reasoning and problem solving, in which you could have relationship based questions and all sorts of reasoning based questions. And finally you have mathematics, which basically includes basic numeracy, data interpretation, various sorts of charts, tables, etc. And for those who have a phobia of mathematics, UPSC has clarified that the mathematics at the preliminary examination stage is at most of the 10th class level and not higher. And in any case, the CSAT paper is only a qualifying paper, so you need not worry. Then coming to the main stage. The preliminary examination is typically conducted in the month of June, and after say 4 odd months you have the main examination, which is conducted after the declaration of the prelims examination result. The main examination comprises of a total of 9 papers, out of which 2 are qualifying papers. These 2 qualifying papers are English and any other Indian language, any one Indian language. That Indian language for Hindi speakers could be Hindi, for Tamil speakers could be Tamil, for Malayali speakers could be Malayali, and so on and so forth. These 2 papers are for 300 marks each, and again these are merely qualifying papers, meaning that UPSC, the examination conducting authority, has clarified that you only require 25% out of 300, which is 75 marks to qualify these papers. Any marks which you receive beyond and above 75, they do not add value or they do not improve your chances at this examination. Each of these papers is of 3 hours duration, and typically these 2 papers are not that great a challenge. In fact, if you have basic knowledge of English language and basic understanding in any Indian language, you can fairly easily expect to sail through both the papers. The only precaution you need to take is to ensure that you have familiarized yourself with the kind of questions asked in these 2 kind of papers. For that, you simply pick up previous year's papers and have a glance through or look through some of the previously asked papers and attempt 1 or 2. Another thing that deserves mentioning at this stage is that all candidates who have cleared the preliminary examination, they are at the same level when writing the main examination, meaning that if a candidate has scored higher than another in the prelim stage, he is not at an advantage at the main stage. You are basically starting from a clean slate. The main portion of the main examination, the written examination, are 7 papers of 250 marks each. These papers totaling 1750 marks, they are the ones which will determine your rank mostly, and also the service that you are allocated. These 7 papers include 4 general studies papers as follows. Paper 1, General Studies Paper 1, comprising of history and geography, which includes, for example, history would include art and culture, geography would include world geography, of course Indian history and Indian geography. Paper 2 comprises basically polity, international relations. Polity comprises of what is the structure of various branches of the government, what is the interrelationship between them, what are their powers, how their powers are circumscribed, so on and so forth. And international relations, which basically is India centric, meaning India's relationship with various different countries or regions of the world or different bodies, etc. They are discussed. And also there is this portion of social justice or social issues, in which various issues such as social empowerment, women related issues, children related issues, issues of various disadvantaged sections of society such as the disabled, such as the LGBT community, etc. they are discussed. Paper 3 comprises of economics, science and technology, environment or ecology, and finally security and disaster management. Out of these, economics constitutes the main area, followed by science and tech and ecology. Security and disaster management has a relatively lesser weightage. Paper 4 has been introduced a few years back, keeping in mind the problem of corruption which is eating into the vitals of our administrative system. It is Paper 4 is dedicated to ethics, integrity and aptitude. It tries to offer to the students case studies. See, half the paper 4 is about case studies, in which candidates are given hypothetical situations in which they are expected to, explain how they would react. Those situations typically constitute a dilemma or a dharam sankat. Paper 5 and 6 are belonging to the optional subject. Now there is a list of more than 25 optional subjects, out of which every candidate has to select only one optional subject. And then there is paper 5 and 6, both are belonging to the same optional subject. For example, if you choose Sociology Optional, paper 5 would be Sociology as, or basic theory, basic concepts as it has evolved in the Western academic world. Paper 6 would be about Indian sociology. Then paper 7, last paper, is of essay. Now essay paper, you typically have 2 essays which you have to write to. There are 8 to 9 topics which are given, divided into 2 sections, and from each section you have to write essay on one topic. It has been observed that over successive examinations, those candidates are successful who maximize their score in 3 of these portions. One is the optional subject, second is the essay paper, and third is the GS paper 4. The reason being that unlike GS paper 1, 2 and 3, the degree of uncertainty also is much less in these portions of the syllabus. Also, you need to appreciate that these portions of the syllabus, they have relatively a greater degree of predictability and lesser amount of time constraint. Particularly the essay paper, it can be very marks fetching, and students need to focus on developing their essay writing skills if they want to clear this examination. It also merits mention that this is often the most neglected aspect of civil services preparation. The next stage, now those candidates who qualify the main examination go to the interview stage. The interview, which is formally known as the personality test, is for 275 marks. Candidates cannot be rejected at the interview stage if they have done exceedingly well in the main examination stage or the written examination stage. Your final rank is determined by the combination of the marks you score in the written main examination out of 1750 plus the marks you score in the personality test out of 275. So your final merit is determined by or out of 2025 marks. Now what is the marks which candidates typically score? The recently only the civil service results have been declared for 2017 examination. The cutoff this year is 1006 out of 2025 for general category. For OBC category, the cutoff is 968 out of 2025. For SCs it is 944. For STs it is 939, and for physically handicapped candidates it is in the range of 923 to 830 depending on the disability. Typically toppers every year in this examination score anywhere between 52 to 55% marks. So if you want to top this examination, you will require somewhere in the range of 1050, 1060 out of 2025. To understand the complexities of this exam, this exam is, there's a lot of hawwa regarding this exam. There's a lot of fear psychosis amongst aspirants, and that fear psychosis is generated perhaps or partly due to the large number of aspirants. It is true lakhs of aspirants fill the application form every year, but the hype generated around this exam, it is more, there is more myth than reality. So I want to clarify what is required and what is not required to clear this examination. To set the record straight, to clear this examination does not require brilliance or an outstanding prior academic record. Year after year, it has been observed that many of the successful candidates, including often the toppers, they are not necessarily those who have done very well throughout their academic careers or who have been school and university toppers. In fact, time and again it has been observed that large number of those candidates who were mediocre academically during their schooling and college years but have found a newfound desire to work hard and sincerely, they have been able to crack this examination. Also, you do not require an astounding family background. Uh, Simply, whether you come from a rich family or a poor family, your caste background, which region you belong to, the mother tongue, so on and so forth, these all factors are immaterial or completely irrelevant to in determining your success or chances of success in the examination. Often and time and again, we have seen students from very humble backgrounds as also from more well-off backgrounds, students from North India as well as South India as well as East and West India, different religions, both genders, doing extremely well in this examination. Third thing that you do not require is an outstanding personality and people skills. Please appreciate, this examination is not about, UPSC is not looking for a Shah Rukh Khan or a film star or a public personality. It is looking for bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are typically nameless, faceless, duty bound, rule bound individuals who perform the allocated tasks in an efficient manner. Therefore, if so some people may have a more outstanding personality, some people may light up a room when they enter it, but these are really not the qualities which the UPSC is looking for in future bureaucrats. So if you don't have, if you're not a people's person, or if you don't have a very bright personality, that should not be a hindrance in you becoming a bureaucrat. Also, now one great myth about this examination is that it is expected that you know everything about everything. Nothing could be farther from the truth. UPSC has outlined a very well-defined syllabus for each topic, for each subject and each topic within each subject. So you are not expected to know everything under the sun. You must ensure that you are following the UPSC syllabus and completing it. You are developing your analytical ability, and you have developed the ability to apply your own mind. So point is that yes, the syllabus is challenging, it is vast, it is an important challenge, but it is not everything under the sun. It is in fact very well defined, and the candidates need to be aware of that. Another important hindrance which many aspirants feel would be their command over the English language. Please appreciate, this examination is not a test of your language skills or your proficiency, or a test of your proficiency in the English language. Proficiency in the English language, particularly spoken English, does not play any major role in this examination. It only plays a very minimal or minimum sort of a role during the personality test, which is for 275 marks. 1750 marks are for the written main examination, which will determine your rank and your service. During that written stage, your spoken English plays no role. Even your written English, you do not require an outstanding vocabulary or a very bombastic or a very hi-fi Shashir Tharoor type vocabulary to clear this examination. What you do require is the ability to meet the needs of the question in the limited time and space which is allocated to you. So your answers have to be forthright, to the point, and meeting the demands of the question instead of beating around the bush. So it is not, the limited amount of English you do require is tested during the qualifying papers, which is, one is English language, in which you require only 75 marks or 25% marks. So that is all that English language skills that are required. Please appreciate, it is not required for you to cut down on your sleep, hobbies or social life. Now, oftentimes it is seen that candidates would literally go into a cave of sorts, live in social isolation, feel deprived of necessary sleep, give up all hobbies that they may have. Please appreciate that such a lifestyle can be counterproductive. Please appreciate, to clear this examination, you require timely recreation, and yes, this exam is like a tapasya. So if you approach it in the right manner, like a tapasya, there is a good chance. But please don't cut down on the very essentials like sleep or recreation. Now let us come to the most important part of the lecture, which is what is really required to crack the IAS exam. We have discussed at length what is not required. Now coming to what is really required. First and foremost, this examination requires a planned and structured preparation strategy. When I say a planned and structured preparation strategy, means that before you embark on your preparation journey, please devote adequate time to formulating a timetable or a written plan. Ensure that you take it down in writing instead of only having a mental picture, because that written timetable is your commitment to your own self regarding how you intend to proceed. Of many students tell me that, sir, we have begun with a timetable, but then that timetable seemed to be too ambitious or too impractical, and therefore we gave it up. My advice to all my students and all aspirants online also is that begin with as realistic a timetable or plan as possible. If you're not able to adhere to it, please revise the timetable. Then try to adhere to the revised timetable. But please always have a structure to your preparation. That will ensure that you are able to complete the syllabus A on time and B thoroughly. That is, leaving no stone unturned. Next, please appreciate that UPSC through this examination is trying to cull out or identify the persons who have certain what are regarded as bureaucratic traits or traits which are desirable in a bureaucrat. These traits include decision-making ability, rationality, giving unbiased, balanced and ethical answers, and the ability to give to the point communication. Now, your personality, your thoughts, they are not visible to UPSC, or even the amount of hard work you have put in is not visible to UPSC. The only measure UPSC evaluates you for all these characteristics is through your answer sheets. So your answers in the main examination should literally be speaking answers, in the sense they should express all these bureaucratic traits which UPSC is looking for. So your answers should, for example, convey that you arrive at decisions in an unbiased and objective manner after having considered various viewpoints, the pros and cons of every issue, instead of being, only having a single track thought process. Another thing which this exam requires, and is one of the important challenges, is the vastness of the syllabus. This examination is not about everything under the sun, but yet the contours of the syllabus are quite vast. When I say vast, now UPSC has given in its syllabus for the main examination, for example, polity, history, geography, economics, international relations, ethics, science and technology, so on and so forth. Now, when we use all these all-encompassing disciplines, it seems that you require to know a lot. Yes, you require to know a lot, but you don't require to know everything. The only consolation that I can give you is that it is equal for all candidates. It is all candidates face the same difficulty. So you are not alone in this predicament. Vast knowledge can also, please appreciate, how do you acquire vast knowledge? Please appreciate this examination has an increasingly current affairs focus. So when we say vast knowledge, you have to brush up the basic NCERTs from 6th to 12th standard. Then you have to refer to various standard textbooks for various subjects. For example, for polity you may refer to a Lakshmikant, for history you have to refer to Bipin Chandra, so on and so forth. Very importantly, newspaper is an integral and critical portion of your preparation because of the current affairs orientation. So pick up any current affairs monthly digest, including say Yojana, which is brought out by the Niti Aayog or Planning Commission, as well as a quality newspaper like Hindu or Indian Express. Finally, this examination requires an integrated preparation for all phases of the preparation. It will be highly inadvisable for the students to first prepare for prelims, then mains and then interview. Reason being twofold. A, that there is a very high degree of syllabus overlap in the prelims, mains and interview portions. For example, when you talk about history, the same modern, medieval, ancient Indian history is asked in the prelims examination as well as main examination. Only the type of questions asked differs. In the prelim stage, you are asked MCQs or objective type. In the main examination, subjective type. So There's a great degree of overlap in subject content, so it makes sense to prepare them together. Secondly, and it is very important to appreciate that there is not enough time to prepare for the main examination after the preliminary examination is over. There are hardly 4 months between the ending of the preliminary examination and the main examination, which is simply not enough time. That time is only for you to revise, engage in more and more answer writing practice, take mock tests, etc. Now it is very important to also access limited and relevant content for your preparation. Please appreciate that today there are any number of good quality books, study materials in the market, as well as online. Now internet is really a sea of information, and you can literally drown in this sea. So one has to be very choosy, one has to pick very wisely what all content you refer to. You cannot, for example, dwell at too much great length on a particular topic at the cost of neglecting some other equally important or relevant topics. So you must access limited content, relevant and authentic content. It is advisable that to refer to authentic and limited content, you refer to the standard textbooks, government websites, or very authoritative, known to be good websites. Of course, the importance of answer writing practice in this examination cannot be overemphasized. Again, this is one of the most neglected areas of preparation. Many students think we'll attend lectures, we'll study, we'll memorize, but they do not give adequate time or effort in answer writing. Please appreciate, at the end of the day, in fact, more important than what you know is how you are able to express it. Answer writing skill is not built in a day, but it will require sustained corrective efforts to improve your answer writing ability. So my suggestion to you is that two and a half months down your preparation, when you have acquired a reasonable amount of content, please begin with your answer writing practice. It will help you to get rid of inertia of writing. Many of us have developed an inertia. We are no more in the habit of writing. Please also appreciate there's a very real time pressure in the examination hall, and you are able to better deal with as your answer writing speed improves, which come with more and more answer writing practice. Of course, guidance, or rather correct guidance, also plays a very important role in preparing for this examination. Guidance can come from various sources. It can come from family members, it can come from mentors and faculty like myself, or it can come from even books or even peers or fellow aspirants. Please ensure that you have access to the right guidance, those who have your, or those whose interests are aligned with your interests, A, and B, those who have something to offer you. Having said that, see, yes, guidance plays a very critical but limited role in your preparation. I would say anywhere around 60% to 65% of credit for the success should go to the aspirant himself. Guides, mentors, teachers, faculties, we have an important but limited role to play, say 35-40 odd percent. Right? It is said that one can take the horse to the pond, but you cannot make the horse drink water. So it is up to the horse or the aspirant to acquire knowledge, process it, implement it. Right? So our choice, our role is to show you the correct path. It is up to you to walk on that path. Finally, you require the right mental framework to clear this examination. More than anything else, this examination is a mental challenge. Please appreciate. Content is not, or the syllabus is not highly technical. It is not like the, for example, IIT JEE examination, which tests you on technical skills. It is literally a generalist examination for generalist services. The challenges mainly are twofold. One is the vastness of the syllabus, which is academic. Secondly is the mental challenge. Now, there will be many mental pressures on most of the aspirants. For example, there may be pressures to start earning. There may be social comparisons. Your friends or cousins or colleagues may have, risen ahead in their careers while you are still preparing and may be dependent on income from or support from home. Please be mentally prepared to face all these challenges head on. Now, I'd like to share some important tips with you, which I hope will help you in better planning your preparation journey over the next year. First is that more important than rote learning, what this examination expects from you is that you are able to devise analytical thinking ability. Yes, there are a lot of facts, figures, datas that you will be expected to memorize. However, merely memorizing data, for example, in university examinations, often memorizing helps us to clear the examination. But only relying on memorization will not enable us to clear this examination. Because no matter how much you memorize, you will always have surprises thrown at you. You will always be forced to think on your feet in the examination hall. For that you require, now that again does not come in a day, it is only during your preparation journey of 11 months to 12 months that you are able to develop the ability to think on your feet. So learn to view every issue analytically, find out or consider its pros and cons, and then write about it in a comprehensive manner. Secondly, you need to deal with various challenges. These challenges can be, for example, failure can be very upsetting. Typically, candidates do give multiple attempts at this examination. Many, for example, do not clear the preliminary examination stage during their first attempt, but they do it during the second attempt. Many who clear the preliminary examination are unable to clear the main examination. Oftentimes, even successful candidates say you have acquired a lesser desirable service during your first attempt, you will still give the next attempt to improve your rank in service. So it will mean that you have to stay with the same examination, same syllabus year after year after year. So you will require a lot of perseverance, and you'll require the wherewithal to face failure. If you look at failure as stepping stones to success, that will ensure that you are able to finally make it to the IAS dream. Oftentimes, challenges come from so-called well-meaning friends and family. They may, for example, mockingly comment on your age, or the fact that you are preparing at this stage, or the fact that you are unmarried or without children, when others who are with you, they have gone on to family lives and corporate careers. You will also be ridden with self-doubt time and again, that whether I am capable enough of clearing this examination, that I have come from a mediocre academic background, or that my English is not so strong, so on and so forth. Now, I have tried to bust some of these myths. I may not be able to, in this short lecture, address all the mental insecurities that many of us share, but please appreciate that you have to develop the strength to address all these mental challenges. Now, how do you address the mental challenges? By knowing do a SWOT analysis, know what are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Based on a SWOT analysis, please harness your strengths and work on your weaknesses at the same time. For physical as well as mental well-being. Now, physical well-being is as important as mental well-being. Why? Because in a healthy body rests a healthy mind. So you need to ensure that you give reasonable, not too much, but reasonable time to your own mental and physical well-being. It could be in the form of regular exercise, walks, yoga, or meditation of any form. It need not be religious, but just some self-observation, some time with yourself. It could be connecting with nature. Whatever gives you some mental stability. You need that mental strength. So don't consider it time wasted. Any time invested in any such mental activity will give you the mental strength to deal with these challenges. Finally, I will say that you must maintain a positive attitude towards the exam. Many students consider this exam as a burden, which they must now carry for the next 2-3 years. Like it or not, mostly those who clear this exam are those who have a positive, constructive, affirmative attitude towards the examination, who view it more. You can also view it either as a burden or as a gift. As a gift, it can be very enriching. You get exposed to multiple viewpoints, you get exposed to great knowledge, you get time for self-assessment. So enjoy this preparation journey. Don't look at it as a burden, and with a positive mental outlook, approach this examination. That itself will increase your chances of clearing the examination in the long run. Our next course, if you are interested, it starts in June. There will be a orientation session on the 2nd of June, followed by on the 9th of June, and finally on the 16th the batch starts. We have separate programs for both regular as well as weekend students. Regular classes will be conducted 5 days a week, 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Weekend classes will be conducted, of course, on Saturdays and Sundays. These weekend batches are specially designed for those who are, preparing alongside their employment. If you can spare the time, it is advisable that you join regular classes. If you cannot, say you are engaged in employment or you are currently pursuing graduation, then you can pursue the weekend course. Also, our course is supplemented by video classes online. So for example, if you miss any classes or if you want a refresher access to any class, you can do so online. That was for the general studies course or the main foundation course. Sociology optional that we teach, it starts on 11th of June and the subsequent batches start on 18th and 25th of June. Classes for which will be conducted 5 days a week, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Again, like for the GS course, you have video online backup for these classes in case you miss any lectures. We have a very strong team of faculty and mentors who will be there to guide you. But yes, the effort must come from your side. It is a journey that we have to embark on together. Thank you. All the best.